Welcome back to Women's Writing, Section 1, Shakespeare's Sister by Virginia Woolf. We have discussed in the last class that Shakespeare's Sister uh, is an extract from Virginia Woolf's famous non-fiction book, A Room of One's Own, one of the important texts in feminist literature. We have seen that Virginia Woolf was trying to find out about the position of women in Elizabethan England and unable to find many materials on the topic. She takes hold of J.M. Trevelyan's History of England, and she finds that the condition of women was actually pathetic, that she was beaten. Wife beating was a recognized right of man. It was practiced by higher class and lower class, and marriage was not a choice of women. It was forced upon her, and if she didn't give permission to be married, if she didn't give consent to be married, she is beaten, thrown within the room, locked up. So the condition was pretty bad in the 16th century. And now we are continuing from there. Para 3 continues. We have not completed para 3 in the last class. We are continuing from there. So listen carefully. We have seen how women were treated in Elizabethan England. It was soon after the period of the great poet Chaucer. Then, the position of women is referred in Trevelyan's history book during the period of Stuart kings. Though common women were not free to choose their husbands, women of upper and middle class could choose their husbands. So please remember this thing. In general, women were not allowed to choose their own husbands. However, the women of upper and middle class, they were able to choose their own partners. However, after marriage, husbands were like masters. Law of the time permitted the husbands to be masters. Women in Shakespeare's plays were often seen as having a powerful personality and character. The memoirs written by Vernice and Hutchison also have powerful women. How does this happen? The reason is that they are upper and middle class women. These characters are often upper and middle class women. They were able to choose their own partners. Some examples of such characters are given here. Cleopatra, of course, from Antony and Cleopatra, the real historical character. Rosalind, the character from As You Like It. Lady Macbeth from Macbeth. All these women characters are from Shakespeare's world. It is true that Trevelyan says Shakespeare's women are powerful. So what we have said here is that the upper and middle class women had the right to choose their own husbands. The women treated in Shakespeare's world, they were powerful personality, and having powerful characters. Then many characters like Cleopatra, Rosalind, Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, all these characters were really uh, having very good and strong personality. Continuing in the same paragraph, it is a very long paragraph. So, though the condition of women was poor, from the very ancient times itself, in literature, we had strong and powerful women. So, don't you see the irony behind that? The condition of women, it was poor in the real life. However, in literature, they were portrayed as strong and powerful. There are several examples. Clytemnestra is a literary character. Cleopatra, Lady Macbeth, Phaedra, Phaedra, sorry, Cressida, Rosalind, Desdemona, and there are women from novels like Millamant. Millamant is a character from William Congreve's drama Way of the World. Then Clarissa from Samuel Richardson's Clarissa Harlowe, Becky Sharp from Madame Bovary, Anna Karenina of Tolstoy's character, Emma Bovary, Madame de Guermantes from Marcel Proust's novel, and there are many. So, in short, you must understand that there were many characters from literature who were very powerful. Women had existed. If women had existed only in fiction, we would have thought that they were heroic, cruel, immoral, charming, etc. That is contradictory. In fact, male writers portrayed women as extremely beautiful and horrific at the same time. They were treated in literature as great as man, or even greater. This was women in fiction. In real life, she was locked and beaten up and thrown into the room. In literature, they were glorified. So, these are the references about the characters. Clarissa, then Becky Sharp, Emma Bovary. So, you can read it later. And now, next para, the para number 4. Thus, we get a very contradictory image about women. She is treated in life and art differently. In art, she has utmost importance. In life, she is not important. Poetry is written about her, but she is absent from history. She can be seen in the life of kings and conquerors in stories. In life, she was the slave of anybody who marries her. Great words were said through her lips in literature. In real life, she was not given chance to read or write. She was a property of her husband. So that was the real condition of women. These are the pictures of some of the women characters in literature: Cleopatra, Lady Macbeth, Becky Sharp, Anna Karenina, and others. And continuing to para 5, thus, the idea we get about women when we read historian first and poets later is that of a strange monster. She is like a worm with wings like an eagle. The image of worm is used because worm is used often cited as an example of a symbol of an insignificant creature. Women uh, who are described as a symbol of beauty is in fact cutting meat in a kitchen. Such a monstrous creature does not exist really. We must think poetically and prosaically to bring the picture of real woman. We must think imaginatively and realistically at the same time. Just imagine a woman of Elizabethan England named Mrs. Martin, aged 36, dressed in blue black hat and brown shoes. She is quite complicated with various contradictory elements in her. Not much is known about the life of Elizabethan woman. History never mentions her. Now let us see what is given in history. So, uh, we when we compare what is said by the historian and what is said by the poets, we understand that the image we get about woman is that of a strange monster. However, that is an imaginary character. uh, Such monsters does not exist. So realistically, you can imagine a woman called Mrs. Martin, aged 36, with uh, dressed in blue, black hat and brown shoes, etc. However, nothing is not much is known about her, and history never mentions her. So we are stopping here for a while and we'll continue later.